Welcome to Therapeutic Astrology Podcast with me, Mana, and with another evolutionary astrologer. We have with us Dabney Lawless from Lawless Astrology. Welcome, Dabney.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, and I figured out that your name is Dabney Lawless, and it kind of ruins my first question to you. Do you want to know why?
Well, was it what is lawless astrology?
It was. I was thinking about that for a long time when I've just been watching your YouTube videos because I thought, I mean, the first time I heard it, I found you through Stephen Forrest. I think many people do, right?
My teacher, yeah.
Yes, and you've made really good interviews with him where you go really in depth and you're like, what is Mars, Jupiter in the eighth house conjunct the like really specific asking him questions. I really appreciate that. Um, anyway, but so I found you through him, and I thought about what is that lawless astrology? Like, there's no laws in astrology. So actually only now when I'm interviewing you, I had to figure out her last name when it was lawless. So, but
Okay. Well, so let's break it down though. So I'm going to tell you that Stephen was the one who told me I had to name it lawless astrology.
okay.
So I kind of wish that I hadn't told people that that was my last name in some ways because like just for privacy reasons and it probably would have been better if I had just said, not given my last name. That said, um it was among the names that I talked to him about and he was like, you have to do that. You have Uranus on the midheaven.
Ah,
So, I lucked out. I got a cool last name, but I do also think that there is something about the way that I try to approach astrology, which is
hey.
kind of a bit more intuitive. And I am of the Stephen Forrest school, and sometimes I think Stephen is more psychic than he is an astrologer in some ways because he just
Mhm.
like grabs things from
Yeah.
nowhere. And
Mhm.
and as I get more in touch with my intuition, I kind of recognize that there are not these rigid laws in astrology because there's just too much. And it is really an archetypal language to explain how how all of this magic works and what we are here to do.
So there is a reason behind the name like that as well. Okay, so but because usually you would think there are many laws, and you could call it spiritual laws or natural laws, right? But then what you're saying is you want to go with something more intuitive, or can you explain that a little bit more? I'm curious.
Yeah, so like I just on my YouTube channel, I interview a lot of other astrologers. I do my own solo work as well, but I actually only do the solo videos when something comes to me and calls to me.
Mhm.
I've studied astrology for over 20 years. That said, I have not studied it in the way that some people do. Like some people, it's their whole life. And I care for my elderly mother, and I have a teenage son, and I have three cats and chickens, and I had a public relations career for 25 years. So astrology is one piece of me. It's one of the things that I'm interested in, but I'm also equally interested in politics and I'm interested in healing. So, like the healing arts. So, to me, astrology is it's one of the tools that make up life. And some
Mhm.
people literally, and I have so much respect for them, but some of the people that will come on my channel and they like have like they can pull information about like a kite configuration on a chart and they can and these are not the things that I studied kind of more of the like intuitive grasping the whole chart as a big picture
Mhm.
and then, like, what can we do with it? And so, in some ways, like, I feel like even though I love mundane astrology and I do a lot of mundane astrology, what I love most is the one-on-one readings where I can actually have a conversation with someone. I'm not trying to predict their future. I'm actually trying to, like, help open up their hearts and help them communicate what they know intuitively themselves is why they're here and what they're here to do. And that to me is the difference. And so there's
Mm,
the lawlessness. Like, I don't think we have to have these rigid laws. Like, sometimes you can kind of crumple up the chart and be like, what are you here to do? What is your purpose? The chart is a guide, the chart is a roadmap. And that's what I love about it.
ah, I love your vibe, and that is why I've invited you. Is that vibe you have? And because I've heard you say pieces of that on your interviews where you would say that's not the kind of astrology you do, and then like you said, you also have your solo updates where you just kind of feel into the time. So yeah, I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I want to do more of this solo, but like when I'm a human. That's the
Mm,
other thing is like
mm,
I'm actually try to be really vulnerable and honest and let people know like I am not like I have not had the space to
mm,
actually give you what I think this is about. Like, and that's
mm,
where like I want to keep it going, and that's why I have other people on, but other
mm.
people then spark intuition within me, and so then it can be like a fun dialogue. But my
Mhm.
solo ones are a lot more personal, intimate, and that's where I've
Yeah.
actually had this space, and I won't do it unless literally in the middle of the night I wake up and I'm like, that's what I need to do. Right.
Yes. Yes. No, I totally know that feeling. Also, I have a Danish podcast where I do solos. I'm not very good at it in English because I feel I can't improvise as much. But I feel I wait for that moment where this is what I really want to say. And then it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. I just know I want to let this out.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that to me, that's like a little bit more authentic.
Yeah. Yeah. I have several things I want to ask you about now. Let me see. So, I mean, I haven't actually asked you permission to mention your astrology,
You
but
can absolutely go for
okay,
it. Yeah,
okay,
I'm an open book.
okay. So I'm curious about your Chiron transit at the moment. Wow, Chiron squaring your sun. How does that feel?
Well, you know what? I don't know that I even know what the Chiron transiting my or squaring my sun is yet because I have just got through my Chiron return like 2 weeks ago. So I don't know. I
That
feel like maybe it's an extension of that in some ways. The thing I can speak more uh reflectively on because I've just been through it is the Chiron return.
Of course, that's actually funny. I didn't mention that. I was just like, oh, she has, but it's right on your own Chiron there. That's a little while ago.
Yeah,
Is it?
I mean, not that long ago, and
Right.
I can tell you it was life changing. I didn't have it on my radar as like being that big of a transit, the Chiron return. And so this goes to show, like, again, like how I think differently than other astrologers who probably were, like know when it's coming and really like pay attention to it. But the thing that I will say about the Chiron return, so I have just for people listening, Chiron on my nadir exactly. So it's on my in my fourth house in
Mhm,
Aries.
mhm,
And I've really gotten to learn about Chiron in Aries, as we all have, since Chiron's
mhm,
been in Aries for, quite some time now. I don't think I really fully grasped. I'm Gen X. I was born in the 70s, and how much the Chiron in Aries has shaped us as a generation. Now, that's not all Gen Xers, but there's, definitely a several year cohort of us.
yeah.
And how we were these latchkey kids. We were the product of a lot of having to raise ourselves and a
Mhm,
lot of like our parents off doing their own thing,
mhm,
and we were kind of alone. And so for me, that Chiron's in the fourth house, so it's very familial. It's a
mhm,
familial sense, but it was also about not feeling entitled to have my own autonomy and like not feeling that it was okay to do what I wanted to do, that I was really very focused on like survival, but also focused on like taking care of other people. Now this like kind of brings my whole chart into the picture. And that's the Chiron is squaring my sun now. And so I
Mm.
think having just gone through the Chiron return, where I
Yeah.
had to really look honestly at how much I took care of my family. I took care of my parents. I took that, role but at a
Mm.
sacrifice to myself.
Mm.
And so this whole time has been about me kind of recognizing that I do deserve to have my own life. I deserve, like, I should have my own agency and my own autonomy. And it's not always about sacrificing myself. And that I was
Mm.
kind of mad about it. I've gotten in touch with that anger, that Aries.
Ah.
And so now it's squaring my sun. My sun is in Cancer. So, Cancer is the caretaker. It's in the seventh house. So again, here we have me like wanting to take care of everybody. And so I think it's challenging that role that I've played my whole life and just being like,
Mm.
I think it's time to take care of me. So that's what
Mm.
I'm assuming it's going to be about, but I think it'll be an uncomfortable transition. But
Yeah.
I think I did a lot of good work during the Chiron return. That wasn't always easy, but I had to see things for what they really were.
Wow, wonderful. Like now it's coming to your son, so it's really going into who you identify with being. I mean, this is the reason why I'm asking about Chiron is because this is therapeutic astrology, right? And if something is therapeutic, I bet it's Chiron. But of course, you can use the whole chart that way. And I'm also thinking about the way that you mentioned intuition in the chart before. Isn't it funny what you see first? Oh, I didn't even see you actually have the square in your chart. It's super important that you have Chiron square the sun in your birth chart, right? Um,
Yeah.
but it's funny what you see first, right? I was like, oh yeah, it's
Yeah, and the Chiron is my natal Chiron is opposite my Uranus on the midheaven.
Mhm.
And so, really, this role of wanting to keep, and my Uranus is in Libra. So, really, like wanting to keep the peace, wanting to be a
Yeah.
peacemaker, but like also rebelling against that role. And so, it's so beautiful how everyone's chart really unfolds in such unique ways and tells the story of their lives and the life is like it's the full life. It's not just the moment in time. And so what I really appreciate is that you have this birth chart that can be like this roadmap of who you are, but then the transits come in and activate like when your healing can take place. And
Ah, yes.
that's Chiron return for me was like this really brutal. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
been a brutal I had some brutal lessons this year, very brutal lessons with parents. Um,
Mm.
and it was such an opportunity to heal, to help bring me into the fullness of my chart. And that's, I think, the perspective that can be the most therapeutic for people. And so as you kind of call
Mhm.
out this Chiron squaring my sun now, it's like, okay, this is to
Ah,
some degree just an extension of what I've been going
yeah,
through, but
yeah.
hopefully like the next layer of the onion.
Yeah, you took the hard part, right?
I hope so.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm reminded about what something Stephen Forrest is talking about with, when we talk about is it fate or is it free will, then he will say it's up to you what, how you will play this out, right?
Yeah, it's both,
So,
right? It's both, I think.
yeah, yeah. You're fated to some extent. What would you
I think
say?
you're fated to have these experiences and then what you do with
Yeah,
them. So, things do, I don't think things happen to us, they happen for us. And, I just went through some things with my family that, like, I could look at and be very like, woe was me. And at times I was, right? But then I'm talking about my extended family, like my
right.
parent, parents, not the family I live with now. I
Okay.
love my family that I live with now.
Yeah.
They're stabilizing. Um, but the parental issues that have come up have
Mm.
been just so fascinating, to hold a mirror up to where I have given away my power, or where I've been in a delusion about who someone is or what their capabilities are. And
Yeah.
I've had to learn a lot about narcissism. I've
Oh,
had to learn a lot about how you deal with that. And so I think, and you think about narcissism and like Aries, right? Chiron in Aries is like something that uh, is the U.S. has a Chiron in Aries, and we have been, we just went through our Chiron return with the U.S. Sibley chart, and
yeah.
so coming to terms with narcissism, like how do you deal with narcissism? And
Mm,
is the shadow, and then also like how do you get past that? How do you work around it? And like what are the origins of it?
mm.
Does that make sense? I
Yes.
don't know. I could
Yes.
just,
Good.
I'm
Good
riffing.
questions. Good questions. I mean, so we're talking about a healing journey, really. And
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Personally, I think
Mhm.
that that is what astrology is about, is the opportunity to heal in this lifetime everything that has happened before so you can go to the next level. And that's part
Yeah.
of this whole sort of, and Stephen's very much into Buddhism, and
Mhm.
I'm not Buddhist, but I love the idea that we all have to have every facet of every experience to become enlightened, because that's it. You have to understand the whole picture
Mm.
in order to let go and become enlightened. And so I'm not saying that, people's goal should be enlightenment, but I think people's goal should be to understand that we can accept and not attach ourselves to places where we are wounded or hurt, or that things have quote unquote happened to us. If we shift the focus to it's happening for us, then we can actually do something with that information and grow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's such an important underlying paradigm, a perspective in your healing journey as you go to therapy or whatever you do to feel better in this life, that you have this perspective, right? That it's not just right now. It's like it there is a context for where you are right now. So because you mentioned that what you really care about is healing, is that how you use it? Or when you say you care about healing, what do you mean?
So, as someone with 4 planets in Cancer, I am quite a sensitive person.
Yeah.
Um, so, I intuitively understand that we all are hurting. That is the human condition to some degree.
Yeah.
And we all have wounds, we all have places, and it's not all acknowledged.
Mm.
You can go into a spiritual community and there'll be people who are like, oh, I've, done all this work and I know and like
Yeah.
I can acknowledge that I've done a lot of work, but I can also acknowledge that I've just had like a really challenging 6 months where like sometimes I just stared off into space because I was in so
Yeah.
much pain. And
But
so,
that is what healing is, right? I mean, if healing is sort of a wound that's now growing together, it's the wound is healing, then that's painful.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. But I don't think not everyone can acknowledge their pain. I
Mm.
find, the people that come to me tend to be absolutely willing to acknowledge their pain. But I
Yeah.
think, people outside of the healing communities or the
Yeah.
spiritual communities, and even in spiritual communities, it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
work. I think it's hard work. And maybe that's just
Totally.
my Virgo moon, but I think that there is hard work involved with healing and growth.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that intuitively, I know that even people that seem like they have everything together,
Mm.
there's still a little girl or a little boy in there that is
Mm.
is hurting, and there's a way to kind of soothe that.
Mm. I envy people who don't think they have trauma, though. I'm like, maybe they don't. Like, maybe they just don't. Maybe it's just so much part of my reality that I can't see anything else but trauma. right?
I think there's
So,
spectrums of trauma.
yeah,
Like, I think there are definitely spectrums. I mean, I do readings for people who, like, they tell me their story, and I'm just like, how are you still standing?
yeah,
And
yeah,
there are people who are like, oh, yeah, no, what? I was nice, like and even the people who are like, oh, yeah, I didn't have any issues growing up, or,
yeah,
I have never been sick, or whatever the things are, they
mhm,
still have they still have work to do, because that's
yeah,
just part of the human condition.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
do think that there's some lifetimes where we get a break, like we'd get a little rest,
Mhm.
and like maybe it's not all drama trauma. But there might not be the high highs or the low lows either, right?
Yeah, I want to ask you something because about me on your website, it doesn't say a lot about you, but it says some.
Okay.
Because that's my resource about me, right? But it says some. It says that you found astrology, or you've always loved astrology, like you've since you were a child, you loved astrology.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, do you have a theory around that you've been something in a prior life having to do with astrology now that you have memories from childhood around it?
I must have, this came to me so fast and easy. And as an astrology teacher too, I see how people struggle with it. So I do have theories that this isn't my first lifetime as an astrologer or some kind of healer that involved the cosmos,
Mm.
because it all sort of clicked really quickly for me. And once I found it, I knew that was what I was supposed to do. My North Node is in the 12th house.
Mm-hmm.
So in Sagittarius. So I have a lot of markers that this is what I'm supposed to do. Um, but that also means my South Node is in Gemini in the 6th house. So I process information very well. I can be very analytical. I like to be of service to people. So there's kind of this dance between the North and South Node. Um,
Mm.
but before we got on here, Anna was saying like she wanted to rub my shoulders because I was like, I'm a high strung person. Like that's, I'm definitely what they call type A. I don't know if you know that. That that's just like a very like I've got a lot of energy. My Mars
Right.
conjunct my moon. I'm just like I'm gonna like got a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm supposed to be learning to let go and
Mm-hmm.
be more like chill and very 12th house and be in touch with my intuition. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think my chart really uh, has set me up nicely to be an
Yeah.
astrologer and to
Yeah.
have intuition. But you can see intuition and psychic abilities in a chart in a lot of different ways.
Sure. Yeah, it's always like that when we ask about, like, should I be an astrologer? Do I have this diagnosis? Whatever. There are many ways to find it, so there's not just one clear. But I think you're right. You're set up pretty nicely there, and also with the lawlessness, right? Going into
I don't mind
the
being a
12th
rebel.
house. Yeah, wonderful. So I also want to ask you about the energy right now because you also do those updates where you feel into it. So I'm really curious what you're feeling right now, and it because this moment as we're speaking is something that we've spoken about for a long time now with all the planets in Aries, everything that's going on now, Uranus and Gemini, and so finally we're here in a way.
Yeah, I
What do
think
you what do you feel
the,
like the collective energy?
the good news is we're finally here
Yeah.
because I don't think we can. So, all of the outer planets have finally switched over permanently, like not permanently, but like for the foreseeable future, right? And
Yeah.
so we've been in this dance of the past and the future for so long now that we've all just been on edge of like, oh my God, everything's going to change. Everything's changing. Oh, wait, it's back to the way it was. I'm very confused. So there is this like sense, I think collectively, that we've just been like through the birth canal. Like we've all just been through this like massive trauma of change where we've had to let go and leave behind the safety of what we knew. And we are embarking upon a journey that is very unknown to us. And that I think is I'm seeing that in our personal lives and collectively. So when I talk to
Mm.
people, it's like they finally have come to terms with the fact that what they knew is gone, whatever that may be in your life. It can be empty nest, it can be like a health journey, it can be a job. I think for a lot of people, it's career stuff, like because the financial and career world with AI and everything is in flux and changing. But just, here in the US, like we had what we thought, what we were raised to believe this, like the best government in the world, and we were so stable. It was never like that. But we really did believe that we were like very protected and like that things would be taken care of if like, and no one believes that anymore.
Yeah.
That has been very, I think, jarring. Like when we have, the leaders of our country, like just saying these crazy things, like it's very destabilizing. So, I think now we're fully switched over. We had this Aries month where, like, collectively the Aries stellium, like uh, I mean, I think it was worldwide, but like to some degree because the US has played such a central role in like the police of the world kind of
Yeah,
situation.
it's a global power.
Right.
Yeah.
That like watching it unfold, I think, has been destabilizing for everybody, whether you're in this country or outside this country. It's like, oh my God, what's happening? And
Mm.
it's like, what's happening is the earthquake of all of that, like Pisces stellium, where everything crumbled. Now it's like seeing the raw reality. And that's the Aries stellium to me, is sort of the raw reality of like, this is where we stand. This is what we've got. The cards are on the table. So now what do we do? And with Uranus moving into Gemini, I think we're going to have this like forward momentum. And a lot of the things that we no longer can take for granted, we're also going to see we never really should have taken them for granted. Like it really was like we're going to see the illusion that we were all under as the world reshuffles itself. So we had this moment of stabilization for 50, 70 years in some ways, but that wasn't universal, right? Like that was for the Western world, right? There was all sorts of things happening, in Latin America and Africa. And so, this kind of global chaos to some degree now, like I say, is like reshuffling the chessboard, and we are now in the future. Like the future is here. But it's like we're just at the beginning of it. So we're rewriting our story. And so I think it's really incumbent upon all of us to actually do the work of rewriting the story the way we would like it.
Oh, I like that. The future is here. We are in it.
We're in it. It started. Like I would say, like now it's it. Like this is at least for, a
Oh
good
gosh.
part of the rest of my life. This is where we're at. So how are we gonna make the best of it? Like I'm not gonna be reading the headlines every day and like, having my cortisol level spike because I've been doing that for how many years now, and like I feel sick doing that. Like
Mm.
there has to be something new and we have to rewrite the story.
Oh, I have questions. Okay, so just from that mention, so you earlier you said one of your great interests is actually politics, and now you're
Yes.
saying but you don't really follow the news, or you can't do it
Well, I
all the
do
way.
follow the news,
Okay.
unfortunately, but I'm following it a lot less. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. And I'm following
Okay.
different sources because
Yeah.
I feel like I I've worked in public relations for 25 years as well.
Hmm.
And when I have seen the degradation of the media firsthand, and like this past year, at least here in the US, it has crumbled. It is
No,
no
it's the same.
longer, there is nothing that you are not getting the news that you once were. Now, I think to some degree, I may have had blinders on to some degree, and thinking that there was more transparency in the news than there was in previous years. But this is just, we are in a whole new way where legacy media has been destroyed. And so turning to alternative people that you can trust, um, on Substack and even on YouTube. But you have to be careful too. I mean, that's the tough thing. We're in this kind of west of like independent media. So it's very important to, you can say like, well, I follow Candace Owens. Okay, well, that's independent media and so is, the Bulwark. Like, so where does the truth lie? And I think the relativity of the truth is going to become much more clear. And there's going to be these sort of encampments with Uranus and Gemini, but there is a complete overhaul of the media. So, yes, politics is my passion, but also I have a ninth house, Pluto. And to some degree, that's not always healthy for me, And I think this time has taught me about my own dogma, my own beliefs, my own rigidity around seeing an issue and recognizing that there is so much you are me, I am you. This is all a mirror. And the more that I can wake up to my role and my complicity, I hope others can as well. Does that
Yeah, complicity to what?
complicity to propping up a system that is toxic?
Mm,
So, I was complicit in by being a public relations executive. I mean, this was a way I believed a lot of the things that I was taught, as most people do. Like this is our frame of reference. This is
yes.
how the world works.
Yeah.
You work hard, you get a good job, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house. Like there was definitely a trajectory, in
Mm,
the US, we've spread democracy. I mean, there was a trajectory of things that we were taught. And somewhere along the way, you start to realize that the system is rigged. And you
yeah.
start to realize, like, oh, I've done everything I can do. I've gotten the college degree, I've got the master's degree, I've done this, I've done that. I work hard, I work all the time. And yet I still lived paycheck to paycheck. And the healthcare, my husband's still trapped in a job because we need the healthcare. Like
Mm,
you start to sort of see things for what they are more
right. Yeah.
realistically.
Yeah.
And I think that's where women, younger women are saying, like, oh, I don't want to have kids because, or I don't want to sacrifice myself for the sake of a partner. Like, I think that there is this kind of like new paradigm that is rising up where people are just feeling a little bit more empowered to say that the system is rigged.
I love what you're saying. I just really love what you're saying, and I'm totally with you with the media. It's the complete same thing here in Denmark. It's so fragmented. That's one thing, and then it's always like I wonder about the source of this. And sometimes we'll have this thing that goes viral in a way. It's not on, on social media, but just in the media where it's everyone is speaking about it. And then you also wonder why are we speaking about this book, for example? And like like everyone is trying to make themselves more interesting, maybe because of this. Like it's a whole mess.
Well, that's it. I think the transits that we've just been through really illuminated the mess.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, now we have to fix this mess because it's a big old mess. And, billionaires own all the media, the legacy media in the US, the consolidation and everything. Like there are narratives that they want to push. And I think we grew up thinking, like, I did at least. Okay, I can't speak for other people, but I believed, like, when you show me this, like, oh, I care so much about that. But now it's like every 2 seconds, there's something else you're supposed to care about. And like, it's really like chaotic. And so, when there's so much noise,
Yeah.
it's like, what do you believe? Like all of a sudden,
Mm.
like you have to come back into yourself. And to me, that's the Saturn, Neptune, and Aries is like, what do you actually believe? Like, what do you care about?
Mm.
What is your passion? Not what you're being told you should be excited about. Like you said, like, everybody's talking about this book. Well, is that the book that you personally should be excited about? Or is that just the one everyone's talking about? You know,
Yes. Yeah, I
And
mean,
it's harder work. It's frankly lazy. I feel lazy. Like, that's sort of the deconstruction and the complicity, like the laziness of me just following the media's, narrative or following the TV shows that everyone else watched. There
Mm,
is become such a defragmentation now, or a fragmentation, excuse me, where we have to integrate within ourselves. But that's really like a lot harder work. So I think that this is a time of more hard work. I think it's a time where we're going to feel more of those survival instincts with all the Aries and I think there's also like the revolutionary instinct with Uranus
mm,
and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius. There's this very kind of like, okay, the old is gone, the new is here, but like
mm.
now it's the revolution begins.
Yeah, and if I can just backtrack a little bit to where you're talking about Saturn and Neptune and then like what you call the complicity and being lazy, but Dabney, we are just a herd animal. We are
Right.
just we can't. We are not that autonomous. Like we can't really do anything completely on our own. Like try to see one person making it completely on his own. We can't do that, and we are part of something. Wherever we isolate ourselves, we are still part of. Like you were talking about the human condition earlier, right? So we are part. We have the shared humanity. So I'm thinking about that Saturn Neptune is it's like eroding structures. That's one way of speaking about like structures are falling apart. And then what? Because the next thing cannot be then each to their own, right? There's still Neptune, like we're still apart, we're still so connected. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And so here's where my Americanism comes in.
Yeah.
Because we it is in our DNA that we have this pioneering spirit, right? Like that's like the thing that we always talk about, and that's Neptune and Aries. The Neptune and Aries is the warrior, the pioneer, the glamorization of the pioneer. Okay, the person
Right.
who's
Yeah.
gonna go out. Well, Saturn's there too, and Saturn's like, no, not real. Like that's a myth. And so let's get Saturn realistic and say, like, that's going to be a lot of hard work. And so here we have in the US, and again, like I'm being very US centric, but there's a lot of like austerity coming. There's a lot of, benefits being cut.
Yeah.
And they're being cut while we're increasing like tremendous amounts of money for war. Okay, so there's the Saturn or the Neptune in Aries as well, is like this glamorization of battle and
Yeah.
war. And so like all of this money just being like wasted and funneled into fighting. Well, Saturn's here's like there is a cost to that.
Mm,
And so, I'm not trying to be negative, but I do see the drain, the pull, the cost.
mm,
The
mm.
cost is coming at people's health care, people's food, any kind of like security that we once felt that we could rely on someone else. That is sadly that is being sacrificed right now.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
see that. And again, that's very American centric.
No,
So
no, but it's world centric in a way also. I mean, and Saturn also representing the military and the
the
war risk.
control, yeah.
Mm.
And to your point too, though, like that's not actually real. And that's where Pluto and Aquarius, I think, is going to be like, actually, no, we actually all have to be in this together.
Yeah,
And
it's more like when then we come up with advice. We do that as astrologers. We say, okay, now do this, or go do use the energy like this or that for inspiration, of course. But there's some advising in that, and that's what I'm just thinking about is we can't just say then go do your own thing because we're still part of the collective in a way with Neptune there, and I mean we
so how I'm making sense of that,
yeah
or I'm coming to terms with it, is that actually does come back to our birth chart. And that does come back to our evolutionary astrology, because I do think that we have to kind of figure out what our individual path is
yeah.
impacts the collective. That's a
Mm.
part of the collective.
There
And
we
so
go.
if
Yeah.
I was to go out and say, I'm going to go invent something, that's going to like a medical, like that's not my thing. Like it's not in my chart. That's not who I am, but it might be in someone else's chart.
Mm.
And so every person's chart has within it the the gem, the like the treasure, the
Yeah.
the I'm like thinking of like, the pirates, like the pot of gold kind of thing or whatever it's called, the treasure chest of
Yeah.
like what your contribution is to other people. It's not about being selfish. It's about being in alignment with yourself. And when you know what your personal mission is and where you're in alignment, then you can actually make a positive contribution. And I think to your point, like, yes, so many of us are herd animals, but maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe we're not. Maybe we don't have to be. And the more of us that can awaken to our individual autonomy and our purpose and our gifts,
Mm.
maybe we would live in a healthier society.
For sure. It's a spectrum again, right? I mean, to what extent do we just want to follow along? So I'm definitely not opposing you on that. I mean, let's
Yeah, it's
stop.
harder work. It's hard. Like that's the thing with Saturn and Aries. I think of Saturn and Aries as like hard work. Like we're
Mhm.
actually gonna have to do some work. Like it's
Yeah.
not like suddenly like are in this new world. I take, I don't agree with the people that are like, we have this collective awakening and everything's gonna be great now. I'm
Uh-huh.
not that person.
Mhm.
And that could be just my perspective and like the way I see things in my chart. But I think like you put forth, you get what you put in, and that's where your energy goes, it grows. And if we just say, like, all of a sudden, like, we're all going to have this collective awakening, I've never seen that throughout history.
No.
So I don't know why all of a sudden that would happen now. And maybe aliens are going to come down and like bequeath
Yeah,
a bunch
yeah.
of knowledge on us and we're going to go to some sort of 5D situation. I don't even understand that. So, like, people who are super into that, no judgment. And maybe that's your gift, like to help people get to that place. I just don't wrap my head around that. I
I
kind
didn't
of
know that was an option. I didn't know that was an option with the aliens. I'm for it. I'm all for it.
Wouldn't that be great? That'd be
Yes.
so great. But like, I don't really see it, but I do see astrologers that talk about that. And I'm like,
Okay. Yeah.
okay, maybe.
Yeah, I really love speaking with you, and I love when we get a little bit passionate, and also I love just the sentence you had around. Maybe it's just the way that I see it through my chart, like that. But that's always we always locked in a way to our chart that this is our perspective. But so we can't see, I mean, beyond that. But we can help each other piece it together. Then you see something, I see something, right?
Well, and that's the thing, you found me, right, through
Yeah.
Steven. And
Yes.
Steven's my man, right? So
Yeah.
here's the thing, we also, I think, are gonna find the right people at the right time,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have this energy resonance with the people that are in our field. And
Mm,
those are the people that we can kind of help. And those are the people that we can make a difference in their lives. And I think that's true of a lot of different people who have these kind of cohorts, that there's an energy. I do believe in synchronicity. And so some
yeah.
people, like when I'm saying the thing about aliens and rolling my eyes, some people might be saying, like, rolling their eyes about the synchronicity, but that's my truth. That's been an experience I have, that synchronistic events and meeting certain people at certain times, there
Mm,
is this kind of, we come along the journey together. We do make a difference in each other's lives. And it
mm,
does take effort. Like we can't just, like you said, like, oh, this is the book that everyone's reading, so I'm going to read that book. You
mm,
can do that, but are you making your individual contribution?
mm. I feel like sharing with you what happened today
Please do.
because we're talking about this whole group of planets in Aries and pretty, yeah, action-oriented, confrontational energy. And so I went for a job interview today, Dabney.
Tell
As
me about
yeah, what did you say? Oh man, what did you say?
it. I said, tell me all about it.
Oh, and I'm out there with regular people, regular people all around me, and I'm kind of in routine with this because this is one of my life lessons. Apparently, I do that a lot. I go to job interviews, get a job, quit it again, and all of that. So yeah, so here we are. I'm at a job interview, and it's actually a job that I think that I want because it's in drug rehab, and I want to do that as a therapist. But so what can I say? I want to make it short, but I want I want you to get just a little bit of the same shock that I got. Oh, okay. Let me just. So I think everything is going great, right? Because I'm just being pretty open and honest, and maybe that's the problem. So now the boss next to me is interrupts and he says, "You trigger me." He's like, "You just trigger me so much," and I'm like, "Oh, am I?" And I'm like trying to make a little bit of fun about it and I say, "Oh yeah, okay, now you have me. Yes, you corrected me there." I like trying to just I don't know how to comment on this, right? And so the whole meeting goes to a timeout and I come back in and he kind of explains again. And what he says is triggering to him. And I was really glad that he explained it to me because I didn't understand why. But I triggered him because I interrupted him. And yeah, I interrupted him because he had some really long explanations. And I knew that we were there for a short time. And I think as an interviewer and also a little bit as a therapist, I'm I now have that skill set of interrupting when I see it's not going anywhere. And if I'm wrong that you were going somewhere, you can just pick it up again, right? So I feel actually pretty confident in interrupting. I think it's a skill of mine now. But to his interpretation, I was not being humble enough, and he didn't think I could cooperate with other people.
So it's fascinating how people get very triggered by interrupting
Yeah,
because I'll just tell you that on my channel, I'm a little ADD and I think interrupting too can be passion.
yeah,
Like, and it can also be thinking very fast. Like you, and it doesn't mean you're not listening. It just means your mind is working very fast and you got what they had to say and you were, like you said, like moving it
exactly.
along, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
sometimes people like ramble on and on and on. So you're probably not going to get that job, unfortunately. It sounds like it would be a gift not to get it.
Yes, no, but and that's the other thing. I always do this when I feel there's a tension in the room, bad energy. I say, can we just be honest? I always try to these job interviews to make people just say it. Like just say it to my face. I don't want the
Right.
call tomorrow. Just say it to my face. And of course that just didn't work out. People are just looking down and the boss is just like following me out. I'm like, just let's just be honest.
No, but I think that that is a gift that you have. And so clearly this wasn't the right job for
No.
you. So,
But
but that, so you get that. But it is interesting to unpack the
yeah.
idea of like why certain people get so triggered by interrupting. And you have to think that maybe they weren't listened to or heard as children, or there
Mm,
is some past life pattern where they were silenced. And so it becomes a trigger for them. And so that's something for them to examine. Like that's something for
yeah.
like, he was actually, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, I think that there was a degree of awareness that he said, "You're triggering me." Okay. So
Mm,
there's at
mm,
least a degree of awareness that like the like you said, I'm out there in the world. Out there in the world, most people are not thinking about anything. They are not self-reflecting. Like
yeah.
I'm fascinated sometimes when like someone like I'm talking to someone who is less conscious and I point out something that is so incredibly obvious to me and then they say, "Oh, I never thought of that." And I'm like, what do you mean you never thought of that? Like, that is the most obvious thing that you're doing in your life. But most people, to your point, like just sort of just want to skate along. They want to be told what to do. I
Yeah.
think that astrology right now is challenging that. And the people that do that are going to have more, they're going to have more challenges. It's going to be more difficult for them. In all honesty, there is going to be more consequences because
Yeah.
we have to. I do think this is a time where we're going to have to rely on ourselves more, but
Yeah.
relying on ourselves doesn't mean selfishness. It means like, it means survival and contributing to help people come together. And we're seeing that too. We're also seeing a rise in community.
But also take it up to what you were talking about before with the structures. And you were talking about, I think, healthcare and like the structures where you suddenly see this is not working out anymore. I feel this example is an image. It's a mirror of an old structure that, you know, time went by and he was just in that position, but time has moved on from it being an interview where you just want the interviewee to just say, the candidate to say whatever, like,
Yes, that's his calcification. That's his being stuck
yeah,
in like an old paradigm
yeah,
where like women wouldn't interrupt a man because
exactly.
of. And so that's why it's a gift that if that would be your boss, you can't have that job
I
because
can't.
it would be very triggering suddenly for you. But I think if this person had consciousness, they could recognize, like, why does it bother me if somebody's interrupting me? Why
Yeah.
can't I politely say, let me finish my thought? Like, why can't I get to the point? Why am I rambling on and on in a short interview? Why do I only want to hear myself talk?
That's therapy, right? That's self-observation. But the way that he was putting it was really interesting because it was like blaming you are triggering me, not like, oh, I'm triggered by this. This is interesting. I wonder if you have this effect on other people. That would be a really fair question. I would love that actually. But
Right. And then you can explain yourself that like you've noticed and you it's a skill that you've had to develop to
yeah,
help people actually. And that's the other thing is it and you can identify with this. I've had enough therapy and I've worked in kind of therapeutic circles.
okay.
A lot of people go to therapy and make no progress. And they
Mm.
make no progress because the therapist just listens.
Ah,
If you just listen to somebody, they can spin in circles. To some degree, I find that people need to be guided. Like, now that doesn't mean projecting onto them your stuff, but it means like what you're saying. Like, when somebody is in a loop or a
yeah,
pattern, it has to be interrupted and pointed out to them. So
yeah.
maybe we can then make that connection.
Yeah, because yeah, and connection between you and the therapist is really important. Like otherwise it's just me sitting here just verbally abusing you almost just, you know, letting it all
Just
come out.
listening and saying nothing and letting the person go on in circles. Like,
Yeah.
and I've seen that. And when I was younger and I didn't know how to do therapy, that was very much the in thing in the 90s was just to listen. And I would go and like, it really didn't help. I've got to be honest with you. Like, what really started helping me was like more ritual. And like, now again,
Okay.
that's more me individual. But like, I made a ton of progress when I went on a vision quest and when
Okay.
right, like did something kind of outside of the just talking in circles, because I can talk in circles all day long.
Sure. What did help you in the therapeutic room, if
I think
anything?
integrating more um nature-based and spiritual
Hmm.
practices,
Hmm.
things that allowed me to see something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
Mm, Really like connecting with nature, animal symbolism. Like for me, that was much more healing. Like sometimes I don't know the answer to something and I'll pick a card. And
Yeah.
that will be like my intuitive channel to help me get out of that. I'm very, that some South Node in Gemini, like I am very in my head. And
Mm.
so to connect like physically through
Mm.
something can then help interrupt that pattern. to me. And then that can kind of focus it and I can reflect differently. So I think that that's again another thing within the birth chart that you can see different things that will help different people. I have
Mm.
a Moon Mars conjunction in the eighth house. That's where I process things and I need different modalities. So, what's called Gestalt therapy, where we
Yeah.
kind of embody or, Moon Mars, my Mars is in Leo, like acting, like
Yeah.
kind of acting out what happened, reenacting it, and having a different ending. Um,
Mm.
Having the courage to go really, really deep, not just stay on the surface. So
Oh,
everybody's chart the um, holds the mystery and can reveal what can be most healing for you. If you have like a
sure.
big 12th house stellium, like meditation can
Yeah.
be really powerful.
Yeah. 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 And then with people, it's still complex because maybe they've meditated, too much and now they need, the opposite. And it's
Right. They
always
need to
like,
be grounded, like they're like right, like and they have addiction,
yeah.
you were talking about in like big fifth house, big 12th house, like they actually need to be pulled back into service potentially,
Yeah.
or like, actually doing something for other people can bring them into like their body more and they can be more grounded and feel better about themselves. So there's just like
Yeah.
different prescriptions, I would say.
Absolutely. So
Not
it's
one
so
size fits all.
no, no, for sure. No, it's nice to hear what have helped you as well. Yeah. Oh man. I just found that it was fun that it happened because I've been wondering what's gonna happen with all this Aries energy, and it is right around my 10th house. So it's right on time.
What are your sign? Like, what's your sun, moon,
I
and
think I
stars?
s- I sent it to you, right? But
Probably did. I'm sorry. I'm not,
no, that's okay.
I've
Because
been a
I'm
little
I'm
overwhelmed
I'm
lately.
even I don't have to look it up. I was just like, is it my 10th house? It's my MC that's in Aries, so that's why I've been
Oh,
thinking.
good.
But so
Yeah.
this had to happen. This had to happen, and I think it's such an example of what is shifting. I mean, what I want to shift anyway, and also what I'm feeling is this is something that I don't want to change. This is a nice feeling because I'm a Pisces, so I've always had that I'll just change it. I'll just be flexible. But I feel like, no, this is okay that it happened because this is me in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's healthy. I think that's so healthy. And I think you're right on the money. Like, that's where you've learned that self-assertion and modeling that too for people, especially people who are in the throes of addiction. They can talk and manipulate, like,
I was like,
no.
why can't you see this is a skill in the actual job, right? But no,
Were you able to say that to him, or were you just like, "Oh, I'm out of here"?
no, because he was like triggered for real. So I kind of had to use my survival strategies, and those are trying to be funny in that moment, and it did not help. So I'm Leo
You know,
rising,
I
and
mean, here's I would
so
have to look at your chart, but
yeah,
is Saturn, Neptune in your 10th house in Aries?
I'm just getting confused about if it's in 10th or in the ninth.
Well, either way, you could have a if
They're
you
still
feel
in the ninth. They're in the ninth. Yeah.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if like you could shoot him an email and challenge him to examine, you
Examine
know.
deeper. I don't think he's ready, but in the ninth house, that's also that what I'm talking about. Like, okay, finding your own voice and what is your message, right? Just standing by it. There's
Yeah.
something around that.
And like I'm sure that this is healing and teaching other people, and especially women who have been shamed for standing up. I've definitely been smacked down for interrupting many
You have?
times, especially
Okay.
yeah, and on my channel too.
Oh, do
People
you
would
want to
say,
give an example?
oh, okay. Well, in my career, I did have a guy who got all red-faced and told me to stop interrupting. I definitely hear people get very angry on my channel. Like 99% of the comments are positive, but some of the repeat negative comments are,
Okay.
I wish you'd shut up and let the guest talk. You interrupt too much, blah, 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 blah. Um, and the truth I think we don't want to be rude. So that's something for me to examine, right? As like, that's important. So I think there's always an opportunity for self-reflection, but then there's also the opportunity to kind of see, like, to your point, like conditioning. Like you're conditioned, like, would that have been the same conversation if it was a man?
Yeah. And just I could not imagine you being, what did you call it? Not polite.
Yeah, well, no, exactly, right. Like I have a lot of things in my chart that are very deferential, like, okay, but I'm also gonna like speak my truth.
Yeah.
And I think for you, like, would he have come at a man and said, you triggered me for because you interrupt me,
Yeah, that's interesting.
is my guess.
I
And
didn't
so
I didn't hear that. Say that again.
probably not.
Mm.
Probably not. And so for you, like with Aries on the midheaven, like you are a warrior, like you are modeling how to be independent, speak your truth.
Mm.
And so you may have to work for yourself. I mean, can you
Mm.
go into private
Stop.
practice?
Stop.
She's like, all right, this interview is getting switched around.
This interview is getting switched around, yeah. And it's just like I actually say that to people in the job interviews now that I have like an independent personality and I have done that before, but I can't sustain it. So that's why I'm looking for a job because I want them to know that I'm
Right.
kind of the personality type, yeah, but I'm also really looking for a team because I can do just a couple of things and there's a whole lot of other things that I can't do. And if you're independent, you have to do everything.
Yes, it's true, but
Yeah.
yeah, but maybe you're the boss and you have a team that does those things.
Yes, yes, Dabney. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. I like that.
She's got to
Okay.
be the boss. Get out of her way. She's going to interrupt all she wants. Shut up about it.
Yeah, maybe that's what he can sense. Too much boss energy.
That's it. She's threatened.
Yeah. So, I also know when I'm speaking like this, there's always that, okay, what am I not seeing about myself? So I'm completely ready to do that as well. But during, just given my context and history, I think I'm doing pretty well
Well, it's also a
with that.
power dynamic. So he didn't have to hire
Yeah.
you, but he also didn't have to be rude. Frankly, I find that rude. Um,
Maybe to the point earlier about what's changing, that's a thing, right, with the power dynamic that I feel the old perspective is we are looking at examining you if you should fit in into our company. And the modern is like we're both evaluating each other, figuring out if I want to spend my life here or just however long, but still it's all of my days, right? So much of my day that I'm going to be doing that job. So I felt that he was just stuck in the past in terms of I'm also checking you out, right?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Good. I think that's really healthy.
Don't you think so with
Oh,
your knowledge? Yeah,
100%. And that's part of what's like rebelling right now. That's why there's all these spasms in the world, is because the old dinosaur paradigms are dying, and those that are attached to that are clinging really tightly, don't know how to deal with this. And ultimately, here's the thing. This is kind of
yeah,
going back to, I mean, as if I know the secrets of the world. So let's just be real. I'm just spouting off what I believe for myself and the things that I've learned. But ultimately, happiness is the goal, kind of, right? Like we want to feel
yes,
content, like not happiness, like blissfully happy every second. We want to have a spectrum of emotions and we want to feel a degree of contentment. And
yeah,
that means acceptance. And that means acceptance of who we are as individuals. And that means I don't want to work for somebody who feels that even in this short amount of time that they can, kind of attack me like he did, with you, and that you're put on the defensive. And maybe in some ways that was like a test. I have no idea, but it really doesn't matter because it sounds like it's not a good fit for someone who's a Pisces sun,
yeah,
right? To be on the defensive in a power dynamic switch. And so, I think people ultimately we have to make our own happiness. And it sounds like he's not very happy. And it sounds like he's going to continue to make himself miserable as the times do continue to change. And I think adaptability and, those with mutable signs are going to do better during this time because if you're fixed and you think that it's going to be the way it was, it isn't.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of us have gone through depression and grieving that it isn't the way it is. But now we can kind of celebrate, oh, it's not the way it was because the way it was wasn't really working. And so maybe something better can happen. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do think that it can be exciting and
Mhm.
new and full of opportunity.
I love that. And I love that you just returned to the revolution because I want to end with that. Because that holds the good news.
Right.
Like something is simmering and we need to join the right wave here because I feel it would be going backwards if I'm just to conform at this point. The time must be ready for something else, right?
Yeah, I mean it's here. So it's marching on without us, whether, we can get on board and create something new and different, or we can kind of be sad.
Mhm.
We have to make one thing that my mother always taught me is no one can make you happy, only you can make you happy. And that was, very basic mothering for a little girl, but it stuck with me because it's true. And I
Mhm.
almost, like I want to say that to people sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I can't make you happy. You have to make you happy. And that's ultimately that dude could have chosen a totally different way to see it, but clearly the triggering comes from some pattern that happened to him. And likely around women, being interrupted by his mother or something like that, like not feeling like he had a voice when he was young. I don't know what his damage is, but it's not yours.
No. I love that. I love having you as a lawyer. Little
Maybe
favorite.
that's the Pluto in the ninth house. Maybe I would have made
Yes.
it there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you have a wonderful chart. And in some house systems, the sun could even be in the eighth, like
Yeah.
mine. Like mine
Yeah.
is. I just don't want to be alone. That's why.
Oh
It's
no,
on it's
totally.
on the
I think
cusp.
in whole house, I'm all eighth house all the time. So
Ah, Dabney, what do you have? What do you want to say in the end? Do you have anything you want to
I
leave
would
people
love to
with?
plug that I've got some courses and
Yes.
so you can sign up for my emails. I don't send a lot. I just let you know when I have something going on and I'm launching a course on evolutionary astrology and discovering your soul's purpose on May 1st.
How do I get to that newsletter?
You just go to no, you go to lawlessastrology.com
Okay. Yes.
and yeah, just lawlessastrology.com,
And
LAWLESS. And
and then
also
you
you
go
can
to about.
And yeah, you can just sign up for my there should be a thing that allows you to just put your email address in. But there's also my courses are on my website. And then also you can sign up for my YouTube channel. Just go to my YouTube channel, Lawless Astrology, and start watching me there.
You have 3 subscribers in me
You do.
because I have 3 different YouTube channels, and I'm just like,
Thank you. I appreciate
I'm
it.
I'm 3 of them.
I love it. Thank you. Well, I
Yeah,
have lots of good people on and then when the
yeah.
spirit moves me, I get on there and I get real serious and I start to talk about things and I talk about mythology and fables and history. I love to talk about history too. So,
Wow.
I've got a really good video about how this time mirrors the time of King Henry VIII and Nero. So,
What's that called? Because you
um
have so many. I've watched many of them, but probably I don't know that
It's
one.
the Billionaire Reckoning, I think it's Pluto and Aquarius, the Billionaire Reckoning.
Good
Um,
title. Good title. Okay. And then it's on your front page. I'm gonna sign up for your newsletter. You're too good of a salesperson, Dabney.
well,
I'm
25 years promoting other people, I finally get to promote myself.
yes.
I've made some of these a-holes so rich, and I used to say that. I used to say, I'm so sick of making rich people richer. So I'm gonna turn that energy toward myself now. I'm part of the
Yes.
problem. I'm telling you, complicit. This one, complicit.
You
Not
are.
anymore. I'm fighting the good
Okay.
fight, people.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's do that together. Thank you, Dabney, so much for being with
Thank
us.
you, Anna. Lovely to meet you.